Hey, I'm Jon Thelen. Today on Fish Ed, I'm joined by a friend of mine, Pat Burch. He guides out here on Mille Lacs Lake. We're out here doing a little bit of bobber fishing. It wasn't our first choice. Our first choice was we were gonna Lindy Rig today, but you know what happened? We lost most of our wind, and for some reason that bite just seemed to need the wind this morning. So what we're gonna do is what we would normally do when we're guiding out here. We're gonna shift gears and we're gonna find something that works. So what we're doing right now is throwing bobbers out, and we're gonna talk a little bit about why on a day when a horizontal presentation may not work, a vertical one will. So stay right where you're at. Fish Ed's coming up.
There we are, John. Love it when a plan comes together.
You know,
feels like a decent fish
we're
too.
We're kind of making a little fun of this here because what you gotta know is Pat and I talked about this last night. So what should we go do today? And we said, let's go Lindy rigging. It's gonna be perfect weather. The fish have been snapping on Lindy rigs, and that's what we came out here to do. But here's what has happened to us. The Lindy rig bite, well, it's probably there somewhere today, was just flat out not there for us. And I think what probably happened there, I'm just gonna lift him right out of there for you, bud.
All right.
It's a great eye, look at that.
Yeah.
What probably happened to us is the weather really changed. I mean, and I talk about this a lot, and one of the things you gotta understand, that's a great eye right there. We'll get him back in. But when you fish as often as I fish, you see, and as often as Pat fishes, guiding every day, you see changes in weather patterns nonstop. I mean, about every 3 days, we find ourselves in a position where storms come through, a cold front comes through, whatever it may be, and it just changes fishing. And one of the things that I'll tell you has changed is the Lindy rig bite that's been so hot here is all of a sudden not that hot because the wind quit. All of a sudden the clouds we've had for 3-4 days are gone.
Laid flat.
It laid flat. All of a sudden everything changes. And one of the things you gotta be willing to do when you're fishing, if you want to catch more fish, is you got to be willing to be flexible and do what we're doing today. I mean, we've totally changed setups today.
Yeah.
If you look in the back of the boat, there's a drift sock laying in the back of the boat.
Lindy rigging rods,
Lindy rigging
ready to go.
There's all kinds of stuff. And the idea behind that is I do believe in making changes every single day throughout the day based on weather. And that's what we've been forced to do. So we're going to turn this into a bobber show, and here's what we're going to talk about. What's the difference in a day like today versus a day like yesterday when it was cloudy and the wind was ripping, and how
rainy.
did the fish feed differently? There you go.
Got him.
Perfect. You start getting this dialed in, man, I'll tell you what. Pretty amazing how fast you can catch fish. And I'll tell you, this morning we were frustrated. It was a frustrating morning because we were seeing these same fish. We just couldn't make them bite a horizontal presentation. These same fish, they didn't just turn on. These fish, what's going on with them is real simple. We gave them what they want. We're giving them the opportunity to see something above their heads and come up and smack it. I want to show you exactly what we're using here because it makes a big difference. I'm going to give you that.
Yeah.
There you go. Look at that. Another great eye, man, one after another. Look at that. Let me show you this. It's a real simple deal. A couple things. One, down at the business end of this, using a Lindy live bait jig. Here's why I'm using this 16th ounce live bait jig. Pat's using one too, just a different color today. But the idea behind this is I like using a jig because it hangs horizontal and it keeps that bait out there. Then I'm just using a single split shot, and I was just actually tightening that one up, and this one is sitting right here. I'll just show it to you. It's a real simple deal. I like using one. Here's why I like using one. When I flip it out, I don't have two of them that get going like this and all of a sudden tangle themselves up. Here's the only place where Pat and I are a little bit different today. I'm using a Thill wobble bobber. Now here's what's cool about this wobble bobber. It's made out of the same balsa as the float Pat's using. But I've got a brass grommet in both ends, and because it doesn't have a stem, I can cast it a mile. So when I'm driving up here looking for fish and I say to Pat, there's a fish, and he drops on them really quick and easy, a lot of times I've got to cast back a little bit, and this float enables me to really fire it back there to exactly where I want to be. Pat's got another setup that I'll tell you what, equally as good, and I use it half the time.
It's just the Thill Pro Series. It's a great float, balsa float. The brass grommet on the top's one of the main reasons a lot of us use it out here, a lot of us guides. It's real durable. I've had some of the same bobbers on for years guiding. I'm sure you did too. It's just a real durable bobber, and it works great for this system when we drive around looking for fish and just plop them on them real quick. So.
Well, and the other thing about it is because we use this premium balsa, when a fish bites a bobber, you know, if you've got a big plastic bobber or something up there, a lot of times they feel it.
Yeah.
With this,
No
they don't
resistance.
feel it. They don't know it's there. So very seldom do you have a fish grab it and spit it out. So when you're looking at those floats in that float aisle and you're trying to say, hey, you know what were John and Pat using that day?
Yeah.
It's a Thill Pro Series. It's a Thill Wobble Bobber. It's a Lindy live bait jig in the 16th ounce. It's a great jig for what we're doing. It'll keep that bait horizontal. Goes. Got it. Huh. Man, I'll tell you, there are times that this tactic, I mean, you just don't feel like it's what you should be doing today. But ultimately, it's probably one of my favorite days to do it. Now, let me explain the time of the year though for this, because it makes a difference. Another one of those same 18 inches, isn't it? And on a jig color change, and let me tell you, there was one other little change here that you don't see, but it's a change I made. I had just put a half a crawler on here. And I fished that with a half a crawler versus a leech. But that eye right there, man, I'll tell you, we spent a couple hours this morning pulling Lindy rigs past these fish. Just couldn't make them go, and you could just tell something was off today. And as simple as making this change, now all of a sudden we've got them coming up and eating vertically. That's a dynamite eye right there. We'll get him out of here. But let me explain the timing here of this too. This is not an early in the year deal. We make this change and do this when the skies get high and everything's happening in the middle of summer, okay? In those June and July months. Back in May,
just stay shallow.
In there shallow, I'm just going to stay there, and I'm probably going to keep drifting my Lindy rigs, and I'm probably going to keep catching fish. This tactic that we're using here, fishing way up off bottom, is for when those fish move out a little bit deeper, when that water warms up. But the other thing I want you to remember is we're getting fish to move.
Chase up, yeah.
To get them to chase up, you've got to have a lot warmer temperatures, and that's what we have right now. The water's warmed up enough that now they're aggressive, and it makes a big difference. Back early in the year when we were fishing those shorelines right in there, those shorelines, those fish, we needed to drag it right by them. There's certain days where you just got to drag it right by them, but as soon as you get these flat seas and they can see and they're aggressive, you can get them to come up. And that's what we got them doing right now. And I mean, I'll take that one after another versus what we were doing this morning.
Yeah, it works great. You can do it on the top of mud flats, top of the rock piles out here in Mille Lacs. It works on all those situations when you see them up. So,
well, and the other thing I'll tell you is this isn't just a Mille Lacs thing. You can do this on Winnie. You can do this on Leech. You can do this on any lakes, especially big ones, I like to feel. Big lakes where there's mid-lake structures, because these fish are all going to move to those mid-lake structures, and as long as you've got your standard clear water lakes that you have here in the Midwest, I'll tell you what, this tactic is deadly, and it's deadly on all of them. It's just a question of going out and trying it and bringing yourself to understanding that today's the day, even though the wind's not blowing, even though the skies are high, I'm going to bobber.
Still going to catch fish.
And you're going to catch them by doing this. Yeah.
Crawler strikes again.
Isn't that funny how that'll work?
You changed and now it's
One
been bang,
little
bang, bang
change
for you, you know?
One little, could it? I don't think this one's as big. We'll see. But yeah, that one little change.
Still, you're getting bit now.
And now we're getting
changing
bit.
it, so.
Yep. That's
It looks like
same
either
fish we've been catching all day, right?
Yeah, 17 or something.
You know, this lake is just full of these right now. That's
They're all
same
fun.
fish. Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll tell you. You look at Mille Lacs Lake right now. What a fun place to fish. I mean, you take a day like today, things didn't go right this morning for us. I mean, it was a struggle. I mean, we've had to shift gears 100%, but as soon as we went to vertical presentations, made a few changes. I mean, we've had to work our way through them. They're not super aggressive. Fish like that right there, though, let me tell you, you can pretty much make them bite every day, one way or another. It's just a question of working your way through some things. And don't get tied up in that old adage that, hey man, you only bobber fish shallow and you only bobber fish when the wind's blowing. Do what we're doing today. Get out here on these high sky days when the wind's down. As long as you're out in deep water and you can see them on your sonar, they'll come up and hit. I'll tell you what, it's a lot of fun. Just make sure you're fishing up above them, shift gears, and you can make fish bite pretty much any day, anywhere you go fishing. That's an awesome way to wrap it up right there, my friend.